Hello and welcome back to Bourbon Barrel Talk. I'm your host, Scott Minton. Today we are back in the Brock Bourbon Bar, and we have a special guest. We have Mr. Ken Schreiner with AJ Schreiner Whiskey Company or Spirits?
AJ Schreiner Spirits. Yeah.
AJ Schreiner Spirits, okay.
You can call it either one you want.
Either way?
Yeah.
Whiskey Company, I like that, but Spirits is good.
As long as people like the whiskey, that's what it matters.
I guess really Spirits is probably the best because this is a story, right? It's a story of your family and your heritage and all that kind of stuff. So let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit about the story behind the label.
Sure.
And then we'll go into tasting, and then we'll discuss a little bit about what's to hold in the future. How's that sound, Ken?
Sounds great.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and how did you get here?
Okay, so my name's Ken Schreiner. I'm born and raised in this area, born in Jeffersonville, Clark County, Indiana. Moved to Louisville when I was in my early 20s.
All right, wait a minute. Jeff, what year did you graduate?
2003.
2000. Oh, man, you're a baby. Never mind. Keep going.
I don't feel as much of a baby anymore, but I'll take it. I don't get compliments from anybody younger than me, and that's most people anymore. So, 2003 graduated Jeff High. Had a family with a background in distilling. My father, the short story is my father was the first generation to not be in distilling, and he hated it. He really wanted to learn more about it. He wanted to be in distilling, but his father and his father before him were in the illicit trade. They were making whiskey maybe during Prohibition, and they were, running bootlegging. And at that point, the family was, although they were respected distillers, they were actually legal distillers when Prohibition happened. They were non-legal distillers at that point. They didn't want to be associated with, drugs at that time, kind of a drug dealer, kind of a persona. So my grandfather kept my father out of it. My father was so interested, he went and researched 40 years of background on everything that they've done since my family landed and got off the ship in New Jersey from Germany. And I inherited all of that information, and then we brought the brand back, my father and I.
It's really cool because I read a little bit whenever Brian had introduced us to this conversation.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things was, I think it was it AJ that was actually born in New Albany?
Yeah. So lived in New Albany, born in New Albany, got shipped around quite a bit.
Right.
Ended up in a Catholic Charities orphanage in right outside Madison, Indiana, Hanover. Yep. But moved back, and so New Albany, Floyd County, Clark County is where a lot of them lived for a lot of their lives. Lawrenceburg, Indiana, while they worked for Schenley. And lived in Louisville. We have deed records from them living in Louisville as well. West Baden, Germany, or Baden-Württemberg, which is southwestern Germany, to Cincinnati area, then to here. And we've stayed here for 150, 200 years.
That's crazy. So,
what time frame did all that happen? Because I heard you say Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I know Cincinnati was very, very big in the world of speakeasies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that coincidental?
I don't know because AJ had a brother, and Fulton, my grandfather, who's the second name on that bottle, who was also a master distiller, had brothers who stayed in Cincinnati. So we did have some family who stayed in the Newport, Covington, Cincinnati area, but they weren't as well known in our family for distilling. They actually owned some liquor stores in Cincinnati in the say 30s through, after Prohibition, 30s through 60s. That's the most I know about that end of the family.
I would love to know if there were secret rooms in those liquor stores.
Well, with the history my family has, it probably was. Yeah, there probably was some secret rooms and some other stuff going on. We've got records of Fulton getting arrested quite a bit for, running card games, illegal gambling, distilling, things like that. So you can go look them up on newspapers.com if you have that, and you can type in Fulton in Louisville, and you'll see Courier Journal articles where he was arrested and things like that.
Yeah, slot machines were a big thing, too, during that period.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yep, because they were legal at the time.
Oh.
And the winnings could be cashed in for...
Yeah, just about anything, really. I mean, it's one of those crazy things. It's funny, you talk about illicit activity, and you talk about you being a Jeff kid, right? Yeah. Like, Jeff was like the gambling capital of Southern Indiana, and it is also the marriage capital of Southern Indiana. And people don't realize that because there was no waiting period to get a license. So everybody from Kentucky that didn't have to wait to get a license would come over here, and that's why there was a lot of inbred or like different things like that. Is they literally would come to Indiana because they didn't have to wait to get a license.
Not only that, I mean, people don't realize that. And I'm going to draw some blanks. The Shriners, the Nebelkamps, and the Wathens all lived within about a mile of each other. and Oak Park, and then the Wathen Mansion on River Road that burned down a few years ago. If you guys know that, on Utica Pike, looked like a big Victorian dollhouse.
Right.
And so they were all really close. And I have a feeling that they were in the same area for a reason. And a lot of people who were doing illicit activities were moving over here because Louisville was cracking down and Southern Indiana was not.
Right.
So if you look at the history and the lineage of Southern Indiana, and you mix the Branhams and like some of those churches into the mix, it's a very fascinating story.
It really is. And I even remember one of the Clark County historians, I was talking with him one time, and he was telling me about how the Clark County sheriff used to go over and actually pick up, was it either, I want to say it was Taft or one of the presidents from the Brown Hotel, sneak him out the back from the Secret Service, and he would come over and they would play illegal card games on, what's the name of that road right off of Utica Pike, Blanchell Terrace or whatever. There's like a little cul-de-sac of road, like it's a little brown thing that comes right off of, and it's crazy, like literally had illicit games, and they literally stole the president from the Brown Hotel, took him over to play and gamble all night long, and snuck him back in without the Secret Service knowing.
And, I'm sure he's like, no, please, no, don't, I don't want to go. Oh, hey, and for those that aren't from the area, so I know, when you said Jeff Kidd, I had to put it together. For somebody that is not from around here, and I hear Jeff Kidd. All right, what's a Jeff Kidd?
You're from the Dirty J. When you're from the Dirty J, you're from the Dirty J. You either know it or you don't know it. So.
All right, so
if you're from Jeffersonville, Indiana, and you grew up and you went to Jeff High, you grew up in the Dirty J, so you know what it is.
You were a kid, and you had no idea that the kids you were going to school with were 2 and 3 generations of bootleggers and card game hustlers and stuff like that, and a lot of their families had prominent positions in this city. Maybe seems to explain all of our fun with the sheriffs.
Back to the story, AJ Schreiner. I found there was just so many neat like tie-ins and like how much crazy stuff it looked like Fulton did as a kid, right? Because he was fairly young when he passed away. It looked like, right? Like,
well, he didn't pass away until he was in his 50s, 60s, I think.
It looked like, based on the story that I read.
Yeah, so he was driving a slop wagon down, I think it was Main Street or Market Street, which it wasn't the same one we have now, because they renamed the streets at a certain point in the city. And he got hit by a trolley car, crushed his hips, and he still continued to distill. I mean, after that, he got better, which was miraculous. He still ended up in Canada distilling. Right. And so he was a distiller in Canada doing that stuff, and then Virginia after that. So, he was working probably White Mills, Lindale, Sunnybrook until those things happened, and then went up to Canada during Prohibition with AJ and worked up there.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to get back into this, right? I mean, obviously you said your dad kind of like was forced out of it, because Grandpa didn't want him to get into that nonsense. What made you say, hey, dude, like this is something we really need to do, and you brought your dad back in to say, hey, let's do this?
So I've been in, I love this area. I love Louisville. This is my home. This is where my community is. This is where my friends are. I had a thriving real estate business. And my wife asked me to kind of put everything on hold and go to Kansas City and support her in kind of being groomed for some next-level management positions with a big national auto retailer. And I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do any of that. But my wife's beautiful, and she's very kind to me. So she convinced me. And so we packed up and went to Kansas City, and my wife knew I just hated Kansas. I mean, Kansas City's a great place. It's just not home, right? So I'm in Kansas City. I'm like sitting there going like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. We bought a rehabbed house, so I was flipping that, kind of live and flip. And she goes, do whatever you want to do. Whatever it is you want to do, you've got my blessing. And I was like, well, that's a golden ticket.
Absolutely.
And then I crossed off Chippendales. OnlyFans was out the window. I'm not going to cut it in either of those businesses. So I thought, well, hey, I've got these secret distilling notebooks that have been in my family since FL died. So FL gave my father, because he knew Ken would throw them away. He didn't want Ken to get rid of them. So he gave them directly to my father, skipped a generation. My dad's kept them secret since FL passed away. And when I was a kid, he'd show them to me, and I didn't really know why they were special. They were just these handwritten notebooks with all this distilling language in it. Didn't mean much to me. So I said, hey, Dad, let me see those notebooks. And I got them, and over time, I started really, really researching distilling. and throwing myself into that as much as I could and learning as much as I could. And you can read about distilling as much as you want. You are not going to understand distilling, especially pre-prohibition distilling. It is such an art form. You have to be there. You have to see the yeast go in. You have to see the mash start to work. You have to know what a mash rake is. You have to see these processes to understand really how special distilling is. The people who do this are artists.
Right.
So I asked Bruce Corwin, a good friend of mine, and I think you know Bruce.
Yep.
I was with Bruce today.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you know Bruce too, and so Bruce, for anybody who doesn't know, is the owner of the Bourbon Brotherhood. Does the bourbon mixer that's coming up on August 17th, and I took him to Bruce. I said, "Hey, who would you know that could read these and tell me if they're validate the family stories for me?" And he looked at me and goes, "I can't read it, but Alan Bishop can." He goes, "That's probably the guy you need to talk to." So I took it to Alan. Alan was like, "Dude, you have no clue what you have."
Right.
And I said, "You're right, I really don't." And he goes, "You want to sell them to me?" I said, "No." You want to publish them? No. So I was like, "Okay, well," he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I'd like to remake the mash bills in here in the style that they were in the 1920s. The things that AJ was making, I want to do as close that I can physically do to the bourbon or the whiskey, the rye whiskey, the gin, the brandy that's in there. I want to go as close as I can to what was being made pre-prohibition and early post-pro." And so we shook hands. That was 2.5 years ago, and ever since then we've been working on the bottles before you, bringing them to market.
So I'm gonna tie into that because I know Alan is a crazy yeast head.
Oh yeah.
So did you have things or old bottles or anything like that he was able to propagate yeast off of?
So this one is a blend. Okay, so we specifically source some very special whiskeys, craft distilled, to make a really good rye. I mean, it's just the best use we could do to pay homage to AJ and get on the market. The distillate that we are going to start distilling is going to be in the spring. We have propagated some yeast from the Falls of the Ohio area. We don't have any of the ones from... my dad used to have old Donny jugs.
Okay. Yeah.
Part of the family being out of distilling is they gave them to Buffalo Trace.
Huh.
They gave them to Buffalo Trace for their collection. So they're probably locked up somewhere in a Buffalo Trace vault.
Right.
And we don't have access to them anymore. But I wish we did. So we're going to be looking for some ways to propagate some more special yeast. But we did do some distillate samples, some prototypes off of some yeast that was specifically pulled from Ohio River area.
Right.
And then he did and forgive me because I don't really understand malolactic and wet yeast and dry yeast and stuff. So he combined some wet and dry yeast to create a new yeast that we could use, and it actually came out really good.
Gotcha.
The prototype was surprisingly good.
Huh.
So it was a really special mash bill that we picked. We used a special yeast strain. A lot of people don't realize a lot of people were using in those days Fleischmann's bread baking yeast. So if you go through the books that I have, Fleischmann's bread baking yeast is used as a starter in a lot of those whiskeys.
Right.
And then we have a whole book specifically of yeast,
right.
Yeast cultivation strain types and how he did it and how long he let it sit, and all these different things.
Right.
So I gave that book to Alan. There's only 2 actual paper digitally reproduced copies of those books. I have one and Alan has one. The rest of them are in a vault somewhere.
Gotcha.
Alan has it, and he can pull those up, and I give Picasso all the room to paint. I tell him what I like. I tell him which ones I want to go with, which ones are historically accurate that I'd like to recreate. But from the very beginning, I said, how arrogant would it be of me to tell Alan Bishop how to go about...
it is Alan. Let's be fair.
No, look, the guy's brilliant.
He really is. I love the Alchemist.
Yeah,
He's a great dude.
I told him, I said, look, man, just what you're doing. I don't. Let's make it as true as we can to what's here in the books and what's historically accurate. And that's the way we've always operated.
If you've never listened to my podcast with Alan, go back and listen to it.
Oh no,
it's unreal good.
I'm gonna have to listen to it. Anything with Alan is always fun to listen to.
So
because he'll tell you exactly how he feels about everything.
Oddly enough,
there is no filter that he's going. I mean, the guy is reasonable, but he's if he has something to say, he'll say it.
There's a funny interaction between Matt and Jolie in that interview as well.
Oh,
so
boy.
you really have to go back and.
Man, I think he actually told me about that because I asked him a few times if he or back then, because I like to anybody in this industry, you kind of have to check them out. This industry's full. It's like there's like a spectrum, and you got awesome people like yourselves on one end, and then you got some scoundrels on the other end. And so I kind of verify everybody. I'm like, hey, I ask around who's somebody worth knowing, who should I stay away from, and Matt was given the all clear. So that's why we're friends.
I'm surprised.
I'm really
I like Matt. I like Matt. He's a corker.
So, what do you have before us today? What'd you bring?
So this is our flagship product. This is going to be the first one that comes out. This is AJ's Heritage Rye. This is actually about 90%, 93% of Alan's distillate. Alan made most of everything in this bottle. So we sourced a lot of barrels from some places that he was with. We blended it specifically to some pre-pro kind of styles. We didn't want overly hot whiskey. I think a lot of times people consider rye whiskey very peppery, very spicy, and that's a lot of times a byproduct of how we do rye today. It's not how rye was done pre-prohibition or early post-pro. So we made what we thought was going to be a great tribute and put it in there, and that's a really special bottle. I'm very proud of that prototype. We went through round and round of revision until I told Alan, hey, this is the one. And, what we were looking for, and one of the things that was one of my influences was the funk of a Dusty. And everybody kind of has different, there's a bunch of different theories on why Dusties get funky, right? Oh, the cork let too much air in. The water in 1970 in this well at this place had too much algae. I swear to God, I've heard them all. I don't know what exactly creates the funk, but I can tell you we worked through revision after revision with different types of barrels and different types of products to go, hey, how do we bring out a little funk? For those people who've never had a Dusty, they're not familiar with that, or maybe you've had them and you just don't want to burn through your old, Dusties. I mean, you've got some in the closet. We were just looking at. They're amazing, right?
Oh, yeah.
So we were like, how do we add a little funk to this? And we went a lot malt forward, very malt forward with this, and tried really hard to give something that everyone would appreciate, even if you're not a traditional rye drinker.
Yeah, that's I've already taken a little sip, and but I really noticed on the nose just. Yeah. How delicate the nose was, especially, and I was guessing that it was a higher malt typically.
Yep.
Are you allowed to talk about what the mash bill is on this, or because I know you said it's a blend of different things, so I didn't know if you knew about roughly what the total amount was.
I would be mistaken if I guessed.
Gotcha.
I can tell you that when I say 93% was Alan.
93%
yeah,
was
Alan's stuff.
Gotcha.
The 7% that is not Alan's was a 5149 MGP that we sourced.
Okay.
So the 5149, I know you guys are probably familiar with that barrel. It's one of my favorite products from MGP. We wouldn't have used much more than 7, but we wanted to push that malt forward a little bit more.
Right.
So that malted barley really carried through really nice with that MGP barrel.
Yeah.
Nice.
We try to stick as close to craft distilleries as possible.
So I think that 5149 is probably gives it a lot of that funk, because I think that's where those kind of when I drink those, I typically think of Dusties.
Yep.
Like you get a little bit of that funk, and I think it's because it's so crazy high malt.
Yep.
But that's just kind of my take on that piece of it, because it does give you a little bit of that dusty taste.
I can promise you that, how do I say this? You could try to recreate what that 5149, that flavor, and you'll never get it, because Alan and I came up with something really special to drive that funk.
Right.
So, yes, it contributes, but there was some alchemist magic in that.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure there was. If Alan had something to do with it, I'm sure it was.
I don't know. He said maybe some certain prayers or seances or whatever he does on his stuff, because he told me once we were going through an operating agreement, and he's like, dude, this is just a book of spells. He's like, that's all this is. He's like, you read that? He goes, this is the same thing as I'm reading a book of spells. He's like, this language in here makes no sense. I was like, okay, well, he probably understood the spell book better than he understood anything else.
Hey, so have you threatened Alan that you're going to go to Distill U?
What?
No, I'm joking.
I don't even know what Distill U is.
Distiller University.
Yes.
So you could go learn how to be a distiller.
No. I encourage anybody who's interested in the industry to seek education, but no. I'm not going. I'm not going to have Alan go. There's no way.
Hey, and I meant that as a total joke.
I know. No, I think that there's a lot of value for a lot of people if you don't have insider access to people who are really skilled in what they do. There's a lot of value in Moonshine University, Distiller University, those types of things. But when you're partnered up with one of the best in the whole country or in the world, I just let Picasso paint, man.
There is now. This is good. I don't want to knock it by any stretch of the imagination. It's a little more mint forward than my preferred palate blends out.
Dude, I hate when you say that. He says it, and he always starts with the apology, and then he says the word.
I mean, you
mint.
have to be. So, like I said,
No.
I like this. I think it's good.
Yeah.
That being said, it's more mint than I typically would prefer. Like when I get a rye, I'm typically like, I want more of those fruit forward ryes, or if it's going to be mint, it's going to be a sweet mint, which is what this is. It's got a little bit of that sweet mint, like spearmint.
Okay, add a couple water drops to it.
Yeah.
And you'll pull out some chocolate notes.
Gotcha.
And then if you add a little bit of ice, you're going to get sweet tobacco finishing with a mint. And a little bit of rocks on it is badass. I like all three versions of it, because on the nose you'll get citrus, some fig, you'll get a little blood plum. On the first hit, you'll get a little Ceylon cinnamon. And you'll get a little bit of plum. But when you add a little bit of drop of water, there's a little toffee flavor that starts to come out, and it's just really, really good. You get the toffee? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love and this was one of the things I liked about this blend was you get really three different profiles in the way that you drink it. So it really depends on what your preferred version is, but I will say that mint won't go away for you. On my end, I hate the cinnamons, the heavy cinnamons.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I don't
Right.
I don't like it. I don't want to eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch in my whiskey. That's not my style. I love the mint though.
Right.
I like that sweet tobacco mint. Those are what resonates with me.
And I always tell people, that's the beautiful thing about whiskey in general, is right? You like what you like, I like what I like, and people are like, well, that's not any good. I'm like, no, it's not any good. It's not that it's not good. It's that that's not my preference.
What is it? What is it?
Like we did a barrel pick at Old Forester today.
Yeah.
And like I said, what do you want? I said, do you want something that's unique?
Right.
I said, or do you want something that is Old Forester?
Right. Yeah.
And they said, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, one of these is clearly Old Forester.
Right.
When you drink it, it's Old Forester in a glass. It's just barrel strength.
Oh, thank you.
I said, there's one that's unique. It's got difference. It's got a different palate. Mm-hmm. Like it's not what you would expect when you typically drink an Old Forester. So I always laugh because that's the way it is, right? Mm-hmm. People's got a different palate.
And I don't mind that you like a little bit more cinnamon. We have another prototype.
It's not mean I like a little bit more cinnamon. I'm probably more of like
a little less mint.
I like earthiness, but I don't. For me, mint can get very.
It can get out of hand.
Yeah, it can get out of hand real quick.
Okay,
yes, I guess that's a good way of putting it, right? Like
so you're not like a big Clyde Mays 5-year.
Oh God, no.
No, okay.
God, no.
Yeah.
See, I like a nice rye, typically the baking spice side of things.
Yep.
But I enjoy, especially if there's a little hint of either black pepper or white pepper undertones.
Yep.
That's like spot on for me.
Or some of those fruit notes.
Yep.
Like when you can pull those fruit notes out on a rye, like to me that's what really gives rye an extra complexity because you almost always get spice, right? You get spice. And when you get spice, you get something nice.
Right.
Like when I don't mind like if I'm getting like that Andes mint type flavor palette on a rye because you do get that occasionally. But when I get like mint and dill, like that sharp mint and then that dill flavor that comes in, can't do it.
I will say I don't get much dill. I do heavy mint on this one. I do get that. Yeah. And so I'm with you on that one. And I love the fact that there's a spectrum of rye that there's yet to be discovered.
Right.
Today our ryes, and you're going to go heavy mint a lot of times. You're going to go heavy pepper, heavy spice. And it's like there's no in between. And I've had some really incredible ryes. I was with Eric Wolf out of Stolen Wolf Distillery last year, and he brought one of his barrels, some samples, and it tasted like lemon cake. It was phenomenal. Whoa. It was full on lemon. I was like, "This is," and I love lemon cake. So if you know me, that's my weakness in life. Is lemon cake.
You are a wannabe fat guy.
Oh, dude.
Because all of us over here were like,
yes. Yeah, dude, I love it. I love lemon cake, and it was actually the top of my wedding cake. And so I love some lemon cake. And when he had that, and I was like, Alan, we got to do something with lemon. He said, "Oh, that's easy." I was like, oh, it is? Hot damn. All right. Well, then we're going to put that on the horizon. So, we do have a lower mint, higher cinnamon version that is going to come out in the next couple of years. I don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but we've got some prototypes for that. And it tends to get reviewed just about as well or better than this.
Yeah, the ice really mellows it out. Like the water, it's still heavy mint forward. But the ice.
The ice makes it is a difference. So,
Yep.
So for the listeners, we have these little almost like droplet ice cubes we're putting into the Glencairns or the glasses, and you're spot on with that. It just had little subtle chocolate or cacao, flavor kind of.
Cacao, that's a good one. Yeah,
just kind of like creeps in like underneath as an undertone.
it's like a chocolate mint almost to me, and the sweet tobacco finish is just that's what I like about it. But I'm glad you picked that up. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm getting like butterscotch caramelish something or other that is really good on my palate.
Definitely a darker sugar that's coming through on that mid palate especially. But the rye it's so delicate now with just a couple of rocks. Like it's so different than what it was neat, and with just a couple of drops.
Yep.
So,
And I'll tell you, whenever somebody says, "Oh, add ice," I'm like, "No,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
that's like scraping all the frosting off the cake." Like, no. Well, Ken, do you enjoy cigars?
One a year at Derby.
So they love cigars.
Yeah.
Wait, so what do you see going with this?
Thank you, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Each way. Neat, drop of water, and with the ice.
you want me to chime in? What you're thinking?
No, I at least so neat. I would probably go more sweeter, light to try to not mellow it out too much. On the opposite end, I didn't really get to try it with water, so I can't really comment too much. But with the ice, I would almost go with like a more heavier, like an Excalibur or a Fuentes, one of the Boulder or Fuentes.
Yeah.
Yep. I could pick that up. I think an Olive V, the fives.
I forgot about those.
Yeah, well, especially with the ice. I mean, I think it would it would marry this thing so well.
I'm gonna have to get you guys to write those down so I can try them.
Yeah,
I'm not much of a cigar smoker, so.
and I'm not either. Typically, I smoke about 3 a year. Matt usually gets two or three of all three of them, like, literally, because me and Matt we're thick as thieves in some capacity. But it's one of those weird things that I'm always like, dude, you know me, I'm like 3 a year, and he's like, all right, is today the day? And like, shit, I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. There's one. Like, so like, I guess it probably wasn't more than, I don't know, 5 weeks ago. We were just happened to be at the Louisville Thoroughbred Society, and we were just upstairs at the rooftop,
so
having a cocktail.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, Matt's like, "Is today a day?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's go for it." So like, there one went down. We played golf the other day. He's like, "Today a day?" I'm like, it's a little hot. I'm not smoking a cigar, in 95-degree weather. So.
Right.
So it's fun.
And that's one of the things that about ryes is you have to be careful with. When it comes to ryes on a sunny day, it's 100 degrees outside, and you have a foolproof rye. You're like internally going to combust depending on the brand that you're drinking, and so we didn't want that. I wanted a rye that you could drink all year long. So I will say this though: this is the first batch that we're releasing. There may be some challenges sourcing the barrels because when you source, from craft distilleries, you don't source from MGP all the time. You really are at the mercy of production and their availability. Their availability. Right. So we may see some challenges ahead. Pulling these same barrels. So we may just go to a completely different blend on the next round and just have some fun with it. Continue to put something new out there every time.
So is this like a blend of like 5 and 6 year old rye, and then
everything in there is about 6 years old.
About 6 years old.
Yeah. And I tend to prefer 5-year ryes. I think bourbon at 7 is really good. Rye tends to mature a little bit faster. So, if you look at a 1792 full proof, it's about 7 years.
Yeah.
5 to 6 year rye is right in the sweet spot. You don't have too much barrel. You don't have, too little flavor.
It's funny. I agree with the bourbon thing, but I'm also going to agree that I think ryes take the same amount of time.
You think so?
It's just ryes because they have so much spice and they don't have the same amount of sweetness. It's easier to hide the youth.
Yeah, I would agree with that because
corn is very corn forward because of it being corn. Like you can taste the corn and being very, very young.
And know it's a corn sweetness.
And know that it's corn
like
sweetness.
Corn pudding, stuff like that.
When you drink rye whiskey, you want the rye, you want the spice, so it's hidden at those younger ages. I don't agree that you have a very good rye at 4 years old, but I think that they get more complex as they get older. So that 7 and 8 year olds, I think, are really the sweet spot, just like it is for bourbon.
So I'm going to respectfully disagree with both of you.
No, perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
It's your house, man. I'm not trying to get kicked out of the basement.
No. It's a discussion.
It's a discussion, 100%.
And I please go ahead.
philosophy at this house is to each their own.
Oh, cool. Well, I like that. So, a lot of my rye education has come from Alan. And I'm going to lean on a lot of the distiller type of talk that he's taught me. So from best of my understanding, the enzymes in the rye grain tend to convert differently and faster when it interacts with the barrel than a corn enzyme will. So, yeah, you may be tasting a lot of the corns and the sweets. They're going to develop maybe the same pace or faster. And if you're tasting a really spicy rye, yeah, completely understand, because it's going to hide a lot. It could hide a lot of there's some ryes out there that I can't stand because you can tell they're trying to hide poor quality with spice. Okay. But from best of my understanding from the distillers I talked to, the grain of the rye tends to convert and break down differently inside the barrel and at a faster pace.
All right. And then from a more simplistic view, I've always been told that I always have to be careful with how I say things.
It's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I like you.
Oh, no.
We've been friends for a little while.
Yeah, the rye is the more feminine, the more female.
You think so?
No, spicier, and it ages and matures faster. That's what.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have daughters. They're much more mature than my nephews.
100%.
They're
Yeah,
at the
yes.
same age.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I can also support, like what you'd said, that
I've
had far more 5-year ryes that I'm blown away than 5-year bourbons.
Yeah, I would agree with that. 100%. I think it's, like I said, I think it's because the spice can mask some of the youth, because it's not as prevalent, because rye being the way that rye is made.
I completely see where you're coming from.
Yeah. And that's, like I said, it's not an argument. It's just my personal opinion on the matter. I mean, I could be completely wrong. You might be completely right. I have no idea. I mean, and Alan might be completely right. He might be completely wrong. I always laugh about that, because even though Alan's a crazy alchemist and he knows, he's probably forgotten more about bourbon than I'll ever know, right? Or whiskey.
Well, all of us probably combined.
Right. So
Hey, let's phone a friend.
You want to call him?
He's
going to charge me.
I've got his cell phone number.
You call him, because I'm on retainer.
You're on retainer.
I have to pay for every phone call.
That's very Ben Affleck. Retainer.
I mean, I can call Alan. I can call Amin. I can call a lot of people.
I know.
I've got lots of friends in the business. I always laugh, but it's one of those catch-22s that it's what makes this whole experience unique, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's got an opinion. I always say everybody's got an opinion.
What do you guys think about that? The New Riff malted rye.
So
the 6-year malted rye.
Is it 6? I think it is 6. Yeah.
It is
I love
delicious.
It.
It's delicious.
Is it too mint forward for you?
Oh no, it's not.
So it's so for me, it's not that it's too mint forward, but it's definitely it's borderline. It's like it's touching that note for me that I'm just like,
right.
I've had a couple. I think it was the first one they released, and I was like,
the Balboa, or just that malted rye first.
The Balboa. That first Balboa to me was the bee's knees. Like, it was really, really good.
That Balboa was good.
The first malted rye, I was like, ooh, it was at the cap of that mint that I like to be at.
So like when I'm in a store and I'm looking at a $60 bottle, if I see that that New Riff malted rye, that's a go-to immediately for me.
Oh yeah,
because the complexity at 5 and 6 years on that, and how good it is a wonderful product.
Oh yeah, we tend to try to do look at things at different.
There you go.
And I mean, I have people give recommendations of like asking, all right, what's $50 and below, $20 and below, $30 and below. There's a lot of times that we've done on the podcast, say, what are value bourbons that people shy away from because it's on the bottom,
right,
near the bottom of the shelf,
right,
and things like that. And there's a lot of really good ones out there that are relatively bottom shelf.
Yeah.
That stand out.
Well, I still think Old Overhold at $20 is one of the best $20 bottles you're going to get.
It's pretty solid.
It's a solid pour, especially the bottled in bond is really, really good for 25 typically, 22, 25.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about to say two major things that are around here that we try to keep. I try to keep a GTS Brown bottled in bond.
Oh, yeah.
And then also Old Granddad 114.
Yes. Yes, Old Granddad. The Old Granddads, they're just so strong every time.
Heaven Hill bottled in bond. I mean, there's so many good ones out there.
Well, what's the 4-year Heaven Hill's got the only bottled in bond rye right now, I think. What's it called? I forget what it's called. Bernie did a thing not too long ago when I was tasting it.
Oh,
really
no, are you talking about like Pikeville?
Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse,
Yeah, the Rittenhouse rye is really good too.
Yeah.
And that's not an expensive bottle.
I think their bottled and bonds are actually 6 years old, though. Aren't the Rittenhouse 6?
Well, then that proves my
it's
point.
it's
That's what I think I'm trying to
it's
say.
either that or
Oh,
the
okay.
pipe-
If you from 20 through $60, I just
Yeah.
named three, 5, and 6 year old ryes that
Yeah.
you like, right?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about complexity,
Yes!
I think I've just
Yeah.
backed you into a corner.
No, I didn't say they weren't good.
Oh
right?
no,
I
you're
didn't
just
say-
talking shit over
No,
here
no,
about
no.
my 6 year rye. I'm just I'm having fun with you, man.
No,
I'm sorry.
listen, I
Sorry.
appreciate it. Listen, if anybody can take it, I can dish
Look,
it out.
I've
I can
been a
definitely
sales
take
trainer
it.
for a long time, and I just like to walk people into their own demise. There,
yeah.
that's.
But there's like I said, there's a lot of great ryes out there. I won't say that there's not,
Yeah.
but I will also say that I've tried some other stuff that like just blew my mind away. That were at that 7-8 year old level.
what would you put at that?
Some
what
of the
rye?
wild turkeys that I've tried, like some
Wild
of the
turkey
Master
ryes?
Keeps and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, I mean, they're
Old
phenomenal.
Foresters.
Old Forester
yeah,
ryes?
yeah, some of the Old Forester ryes that I've tried, like the barrel strengths.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought those were really, really good. They were like 6 years old.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said,
Let's keep going 7 and
Yeah.
8. 7 and
Yeah,
8, brother.
seven-
Well,
it's-
name me
there's
7s
a-
and 8s.
Oh,
I
I
need
mean,
7s and 8s right now.
Knob Creek, Knob Creek.
Yeah, but Knob Creek's a
Yeah.
blend. They're not even
Yeah.
distilling that stuff. Everything Knob Creek is all
the
blends,
Knob Creek
right?
single barrels.
Yeah, but they're okay.
7 years
Okay.
old. They're all 7 years old. Almost all of them are
All
7
right,
years
there you
old.
go. Okay, you got me.
Yeah,
You got me.
the new 10 years, I think, all blended.
Yeah, they're all 10 years
Yeah,
all blended.
Yeah, the Knob Creek 12 rye is really good. I'm not a fan as much as the
But
Bullet.
you have to remember too. I drink a lot of single barrels. I drink a whole lot of single
Oh,
barrels.
yeah?
I'm probably I'm a massive single barrel snob. So I
Oh,
drink
okay.
a lot of single
Okay.
barrel whiskey. So that's probably also where a lot of my stuff comes through. Is when I'm drinking, I drink a lot of single barrels. So
Yeah.
I probably drink a lot more 7-year-old ryes than a lot of other people.
No,
do.
it probably maybe more than me.
And for the record, the Heaven Hill, the bottled and bond straight rye whiskey, it says that it is at least 4 years old.
Right. Is that the Rittenhouse or is that the Heaven Hill
Pikeville.
rye?
Was that the Rittenhouse? Yeah.
Is it Rittenhouse? They have Pikeville,
Yeah, Rittenhouse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, at least 4 years.
Yeah.
and then I think the Pikeville's maybe about a year or two more added
Yeah.
for that.
And maybe that's what that's what I was thinking about was the Pikesville. But I knew one of them was like right at 6 years old, but they still considered it a bottled and bond product because it was obviously if it's coming out of the same season.
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
it's
mean,
the
you can
same
stay
age, you
bottled
can
and
do
bond
right.
anything
Yeah.
past 4, right?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, heck, Forster just did it with the 117s. It was a 10-year-old bottled and bond. So, I mean, you can do it. It is there. So all right, let's go to gin.
Wait, hang on.
We're gonna have a gin incident.
No, we are. All right, hey, so we have yet to talk about the bottle design.
Oh yeah.
Because, like, so for one,
Yeah.
I could get in big trouble because I could fit so many of those in the same shelf because of its design.
Yeah, this super thin, super tall.
Oh, yes.
What do you
pro-
mean?
the-
You mean like just because it's so slender?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like I have nothing in common with that.
I got
I
no,
definitely
no
don't.
comment.
Yeah, so
I'm
if
not
you went-
tall or skinny.
Yeah, yeah.
So you probably if you're listening to the podcast, you probably see the picture that's listed on listed on it, but it is kind of like a very almost like a highball glass style bottle,
Yeah.
but it is square. So you have four flat sides.
Yep.
Trying to think of the name of this bottle. I've actually seen the name of this bottle someplace, but I can't remember
There's
the
a,
name.
there's
of
a
it
few
for nothing.
variations depending on the manufacturer, but this
Yeah.
is a New York.
New York.
You might call it some. I've seen it called a Manhattan. But this is a New York bottle. There's only one other company that I know of who uses something similar to this. What was it? I can't remember right off the top of my head. It's similar, but it's not the same.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
I
Thank
do
you.
love
Yes.
it. I love the bottle.
Yeah.
Well, so there was a lot of thought that actually went into that bottle. Surprisingly, so when we started with this, we're like, there's a few things that have to happen. One of the things that has to happen is his name. I want his photo on the back, a real photo of him, not a character drawing. And everybody kept trying to get me to go to, get an artist rendering of it.
Kind of almost like some of those Buffalo Trace lines, like Taylor, Stagg,
Elmer T. Lee has him drawn and kind of coming through. And I was like, look, I own the pictures. I have to. You guys know Brian Harum probably.
Name sounds familiar.
Brian Hara, excuse me. He's a lawyer. He wrote Whiskey Justice, Bourbon Justice.
I know the name now for sure.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And how much I had to pay lawyers to go through. Like, here's the thing. If you're going to start a whiskey brand, it's a lot cheaper to pick something that doesn't have any historical reverence or historical ties because you don't have to go back and do all the copyright work and all the trademark work and make sure that names haven't been taken and that your family's not looking at IP like who owns what. There's a whole lot of that conversation that had to happen. So I said, hey, his photo has to be on the back. It has to show through the whiskey. And when you put it on a round bottle, it doesn't work. He looks bloated. Okay. So he's like big jowls,
Looks like me.
No, I'm not saying anything. Well, I mean, really, he's round, man.
Right.
So, then, so it doesn't shine through that way because we got a mat on the back to print on. But so then we were like, okay, let's look at a Kentucky bottle. So we went to the Kentucky bottle and, we're going to sell this. This is a retail 120. Okay. There's 1,000 bottles that come out or less a quarter. So we're going to drop 4 barrels or so every quarter. And so it's pretty tough to get one of these bottles. It's going to be $120 a pop. And I thought, I can't sell this whiskey for $120 a bottle when all the competition in Kentucky bottles is $35, right? So if you're putting me on the same shelf with those guys, it's the wrong bottle. It sends the wrong message. It sends the wrong price point message. And I called Alan, who talked to Jolie, and she goes, get the tallest fucking bottle you can get. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, it forces you onto the top shelf. And I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Because, you're not going to you can't put this in most shelves. So we said, you know what, that's right. And this New York bottle fits. And then there was one other we have a lower consumption of female rye whiskey drinkers in the United States than just about any other country. So any other country that consumes a lot of rye whiskey. So UK, we are, I think, 10 points behind the UK.
Hey, Barb, breathe.
Yeah. And in Canada, they beat us by 5 to 6% female rye whiskey consumption or whiskey consumption in general. So
how they have to stay warm in winter.
Yeah. Well,
I got something to keep it warm.
Yeah. So what we really wanted to appeal like a perfume bottle. We were like, we want this to be as beautiful a bottle as we can make to make a really great whiskey inside the bottle, and we can appeal to everybody because we don't want female drinkers to think that this is a male drink. This is for everybody, and if you have this in a smoked old fashioned or in a Negroni, it will blow you away. So we said, hey, you know what? We want something slightly feminine on the bottle. We don't want that big masculine look. We want it to look more skinny, more feminine, and that's what we went with.
Dude, I love it. And there happens to be a large distillery that has a $450 bottle that has very similar signatures.
Oh, really? What? I don't know it. Which one?
Wait, so Wild Turkey, and it's called Generations.
I did not know anything about that.
Yes, yeah. And
I thought this was original. I thought I had come up with something cool.
No. Hang on. That's a $450 bottle.
Oh, well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, but I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I just got to say this because we don't have video.
Yeah.
As soon as we asked you about the bottle,
yeah,
or like emotions, like like emotions, are like, you were a bit taken. We didn't have a word.
Yeah,
and then you went.
I appreciated you noticing that. It's everything that we've done with this brand has gone through my wife and I. Sabrina Fraley, our creative director, who is brilliant. She's worked for some of the biggest brands. She spent, I think, 10 years with Beam. She works out of Chicago. It actually ended up being one of my wife's childhood friends, one of the best creative directors in the country. So Sabrina put her heart and soul into this, and we researched everything. These are the real signatures on the left side of the bottle. On the right side of the bottle, these are actual blurbs that are I think 4 out of 5 of those are publicly available that you can search for Fulton or AJ, and you'll find those quotes attached to his name through newspaper records. So I don't lie about anything. I'll tell you the honest truth. That's why I talk to everybody about, hey, there's 7% MGP in here. Because a lot of brands don't want to disclose they're buying MGP barrels. I don't mind it. We had to find the right barrel to go with that, and MGP makes some good stuff. And as a matter of fact, if I want to tell a true story, MGP was Schenley, 1933, right?
Yes.
And so he started Schenley in 1933 as the first master distiller. JJ, who this gin is named after, died at Schenley. He died in the office.
Oh,
so
wow.
I can tell a real story, and I could buy 100% MGP stuff, and it would not be out of the realm of real honest story. We really respect, and I want to encourage as much craft distilling as we can do. Right. I don't want to see it go the way of microbrewing, which is, shutting down left and right all over the world. I'm not really a beer drinker, but I love artists, and I love seeing what they do, and I want to support the local guys.
Yep.
So everything in here was sourced from Indiana, 100% Indiana products, 100% rye products, and there you go. And so, we try to be honest about everything. So those are the real quotes and the real signatures.
That is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's funny.
We are a zero bullshit brand. And there's no room for it.
And person.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you've known me for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I try to be as nice as I can, and even when somebody's wrong, I won't typically tell them. I don't have to be abrasive, but when it comes to my name going on that bottle, that's my last name.
Yep.
I got to live this. I'm 5th generation now of this lineage. So if I start lying about it and making up some more crazy stories, now we've got plenty of good stories. I don't need to make anything up. But if I start to lie about it, I'm going to wear that everywhere I go, and every whiskey drinker in the world's going to know it, right? Because whiskey drinkers are very, very smart people.
Right.
The people who are into this, they know and they research, and they look at everything. So
a little Indiana whiskey heritage. Did you know Springville was one of the biggest and earliest distilleries, and it was owned by Jonathan Jennings in Charlestown?
I did not know that.
Pretty neat story
Yeah,
there. You should
yeah.
go look that one up.
I should. Well, hey, if we've got any ties, I'd love to know it, because there was
You
a
may
lot
have
of
ties. I have no idea.
Yeah, there was a
It-
lot of ties to different famous distilleries that
Yep.
I didn't know about until I started really researching the books.
Yeah, Springville would have been what's off of High Jackson Road right now out in Charlestown. So out that route. So that's where Springville was. And Jonathan Jennings started that distillery out there and had it for many years before he, left
Yeah.
Indiana. So
How's
All
that?
right.
Is this label doing okay? Hold on. So these are our prototype labels. If it's peeling, I got to know about it because I want to fix that before it goes into production.
it did well.
Did it peel just a
It had a
hair?
little bit of a peel, but I just shoved it right back down. It went
Okay.
it went right back.
I just bought
So-
a bottle of a really nice. I won't say the brand, but by the time I got home, the lipstick over the top had already peeled off the bottle.
Oh,
Yeah.
lovely.
And I
Not
thought,
surprising. These are the biggest nightmares for
Yes.
any bottler. They'll
Yes.
tell you they hate
The
neck
bow
tags
ties
and
are-
the neck tags, and
yeah,
they hate
neck tag, lipstick. I've heard it called a couple different things. Seals.
and then also the bananas.
Yep.
Like I think Old Carter uses those a bunch, and
Yep.
a couple of others.
Yep.
But yeah, they hate those things.
So
Bottlers do.
We upgraded some adhesive on that one, but if you guys have seen a Means bottle, he switched to a
Yep.
foil.
Yep.
And I think that foil looks phenomenal.
New bottle too. He's got.
Oh, did he do a new
Yeah,
bottle too?
oh.
He's got his OL on there on the bottle now. It's actually engraved.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It also doesn't slide out of my hand now.
Sorry.
Oh, hey, so before we transition
Sure.
to the gin,
Yeah.
what has been the most pleasant thing that you found out by doing all of your research?
Pleasant?
Yeah, like the most like no shit, or the thing like you had to call your dad and tell him. You had to share it with him.
Oh, man. There was a lot of those moments. I tell you what, can we come back to that one? I got to think.
Sure. Yeah. Hey,
Because I had a few of those. Like, I would call him, like, it would be like every third day. And be like, did you hear this about, like, because, he did, when he was doing his research, he was at the New Albany Public Library flipping through the, the old, the thing, it has
Yeah.
the newspapers.
kids have
Microfiche.
no idea what
Microfiche,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so when I was a kid, that's how we would spend the winter time, because my dad's a farrier, he's a horseshoer. And
God.
yeah, so like, it slows down in the winter, so you got kids that are antsy, you take them to the library, hell, I don't know. And that's what he did, and we would be flipping through those microfilms and looking for old records. So everything that we were looking for was old manual style. Now it's so you punch in a name and everything comes up.
Yeah.
So I think, probably some of the Canadian Seagram's, connections during Prohibition were probably some of the coolest stuff. And then finding so we, now we have, Bellmead, the Bellmead brand
Yes,
is out
yeah,
of
very much
Tennessee.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
out of
Charlie and-
Tennessee.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Bellmead was actually a distillery, I think, from 1940 to 1976 in Virginia.
Right.
And it shut down. Yeah, there was a Bellmead, Virginia distillery. And it was actually during World War II, so it would be before that. And they were producing gasohol. It was one of the Seagram's plants that were producing high octane, fuel for the military. So when they'd get a break, and I also didn't know that you could make whiskey from wood chips or gasohol from wood chips. Have you guys heard this?
Anything.
I've not heard that.
Yeah, I didn't know this. I had no idea. So, like, we were importing a lot of our grains from Cuba before the Communist Revolution. So none of the congressmen wanted to stop using rum. So they were pouring out all these defense dollars to buy sugarcane to, produce gasohol, when the Germans were actually just cutting up old wood and using, sawdust. And so, like, we were using sugarcane to produce gasohol during World War II, and that Bellmead, Virginia distillery was one of the ones doing it, and Fulton was the master distiller there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And there was like outrage in all the newspapers. Like if you read it, it's constantly, why don't they do this? Well, Congress was getting kickbacks, and rum's better than sawdust. So let's,
true.
let's go with that.
One you can consume, one you cannot.
I mean, I don't know. I
That
guess,
is a matter of opinion.
yeah.
Listen, that's probably true. There are people that drink rubbing alcohol too,
Yeah.
but I don't advise it.
My dad wants us to make a product called torpedo fuel, which is some of the stuff that they were producing went into torpedo fuel. I didn't even know it was a thing.
Gotcha.
So
So speaking of torpedoes,
Yeah, 130
Navy
proof.
strength gin. What?
Yeah.
Tell us the story behind this, man.
So, Alan and I were talking, and I said, I really don't love clear spirits. Truthfully, it's not been my go-to for years and years, and a few bad incidents in college kind of spoiled clear spirits for me. And I was
For a lot of kids, it does.
yeah. So, but he was like, "Trust me, we can do a really cool Schenley gin to pay tribute to JJ." So, Alan had actually had 1930s Schenley gins. He had those Dusties, and I think he had them with, I won't say his name. I don't want to invoke anybody on here that shouldn't be invoked. But he had them with a really prominent, historian of whiskey. And he knew the palate. He knew what he was picking up, and he knew those flavors. So Alan goes, I'm going to make you a gin that's better than the Schenley gin. He goes, because to be honest with you, it was just mass consumer, and it wasn't very good. He goes, it wasn't great gin. He goes, it was just consumer gin. He said, but I'll make it right. Let's use a rye base to stay true to the rye brand, because we really try to only do rye-based stuff. And he created, I got to distill it, which was amazing experience to be there at Spirits of French Lick where we distilled this. We got to distill this, and I got to pour the citrus peels and the lime and, cut the vanilla bean and put the juniper in the mash and taste it as it comes out at different proofs and see how, like something like a root, comes in later in the finish than earlier in the distillation, because fruits are very easy to be broken down inside of a still, whereas a root takes a lot longer to distill out at higher temperatures. So you could taste these profiles as they come out from 160 to 130 proof, whatever it was, and we got to make it. And so later, I was let's see here, Laura Fields. You guys know Laura Fields from the Fields Foundation? She's the one who's she's the one who brought back Rose and Rye in Pennsylvania. So Laura and I are friends. I've got to hang out with her a few times up in Pennsylvania and some other places. She sent me a Schenley article where in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, they took kids at the high school to the Schenley distillery. And then think about taking children
What a
to
field trip. How did I get screwed up so bad?
In 1933, 34, you're taking middle school kids to a distillery. Those distilleries in the 30s were not safe places. Okay?
No.
All right. And these kids are walking through, and there's a reporter that went with them, and they documented what they were using for the gin flavors. And so we have documented evidence that they are using the same flavors that we were using, and Alan knew it prior to even making this gin. So Alan didn't pull that record. He didn't have it. He just knew, hey, this is the Schenley gins. This is how we need to do it. And we recreated a modern day take from Alan Bishop on the Schenley gins from the 1930s, and that's what that is. It's gin for whiskey drinkers, and it's the rye base that we use in the Heritage Rye, distilled again inside that bottle, and I'm proud of it. At 130 proof, it'll light you up. I encourage adding ice.
I love the proof. I will say that.
Your face, and that's not an uncommon face.
Yeah, I actually
It was
enjoy
the nose
proof.
that got me.
Oh,
It's definitely still got some juniper in it. I know
Oh,
when we
yeah.
talked
It
off
has-
mic
it has
that you
juniper.
said, well, it's not quite the juniper.
It's not the Christmas tree.
and it's not. It's not. I will say I agree with you, but it's still like, whoa, that's got some juniper in it for sure.
Where's our ice? Where's the ice? Can we get some ice here?
Yep.
The ice is what loosens this up and makes it an incredible product.
Wait, so loosen or what's the
When
word?
I say loosen, it adds more flavor, but it looshes.
Yes,
it looshes
that's the
like
word.
it's like with
Loosh.
an absinthe.
That's a fun word.
Yeah, loosh. Yeah.
Hey,
So
so on the nose, like I want Thai food. Oh my god, dude, I would love spicy Thai with this.
So I'll sit outside on a really hot day. Yeah. Okay. So we got that's I've never heard that one. Never had the Thai food connection. But on a really hot day, I would rather drink this than then drink a whiskey. It is so crisp and so flavorful, and what we typically get is type of like a citrus or orange marmalade. That's what people get, because when we sell this, what you guys are having is not consumer available. This is 130. We haven't proofed it down. It'll be 93 in the bottle, so it'll be a lot more palatable for the masses when we do that. But when you add a little rocks, you let it kind of gray out. That's where it looshes. It'll turn gray, and you'll see those enzymes come forward. We distilled this at the temperatures that you would distill an absinthe. We didn't typically go to the 135 temperature that you would do out on a gin. We went more to the 145, 146 temp. And when you do that, you give the enzymes, when you add a little water, the ability to kind of open up, and you can watch it gray out. And when it gets to about this, that's when it's really open. So you've got a few more seconds on yours. You're getting there.
Yeah.
This is like weird science.
Oh,
Weird
yeah.
science.
So, right there, here, I haven't drank out of that. That's for you all, because it might take you guys a second to catch up on that louche.
Hey, so we are all sitting around nosing this and just staring at the glass, waiting for it to gray out.
Yeah.
We are. I love this.
So while we're kind of doing the science experiment, one of the things you brought up earlier,
You guys didn't expect this tonight, did you?
whenever you talk about you're going through your the old notes from the notebooks,
Yeah.
you made mention of brandy.
Uh-huh.
Is that something that might be somewhere on the horizon at some point?
Yes. The problem with brandy is it's so expensive.
I got excited. I'm sorry.
It's so expensive to make. Brandy costs so much to make. A lot of
There's a
people.
lot of
Fruit is
wasteful.
expensive.
There's a lot of wastefulness to it.
Yeah, it's super. If you're making a rye, you're going to get about, from best of my understanding, you're going to get 50 to 60% of the yield you're going to get off of corn. So whenever you make a rye,
It's probably about right.
you're going to get 50 to 60% of the same amount of yield you would get off corn, because the corn enzymes are going to mash out and convert to alcohols much heavier. When you go to a brandy, you're probably going to get a little bit less than that, even though the enzymes convert really well. And the fruit to do it is pretty expensive. So yes, we do, and we have some rectified brandy flavors. So we've got some rectified brandies, which we were thinking about turning into liqueurs.
Okay.
But they're so we have, and if you guys don't know the word rectified, it just means it's like a sweetened, flavored base alcohol with stuff thrown in it. No tobacco spit, no creosote, none of the fun stuff from
Battery
Prohibition.
acid.
Yeah, none of that. Didn't run through a radiator. None of that stuff.
Not made in a tub.
Yeah, hot
Not
gooey.
made in a tub. These are real rectified spirits. And that made some of the brands of the day famous. But that's what that's about. So now I'm interested, because I know I'm at a table that's mixed on gin.
Actually, this is pretty good. It's gotten to
there
the
you go.
point.
Yep.
So yes, so it's to the point to where if you have enough rocks in the glass, it's like there's almost to the point of condensation on the outside of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's got to be cold.
Yes.
Yep. At 130 proof, it's got to be cold.
AJ, I'm going to 100% agree with you that on a hot day, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most approachable gins, even before adding the ice.
Mm-hmm.
After the ice, it's a treat.
Yeah. It's phenomenal.
It's
I love
phenomenal.
it.
Yeah.
And we got lucky, because a lot of people don't realize Alan started at Copper and Kings.
Yep.
He was a gin distiller. That's what he did, Clear Spirits. And even when he was convincing me to do this brand, I don't know.
It's kind of sketchy, right?
Yeah, well, it's not sketchy. It's just I was really just sticking to brown spirits, because that's what I'm used to. That's what I've invested all my time researching.
Heritage.
Yeah, and when he was like, "Look, there's documented evidence. JJ was the gin distiller. You've got a story. You've got a product. You can make the Schenley gins more approachable. Let's do it." And he convinced me to do it, and I'm so happy that we did.
Yeah.
And what my goal is, and we won't have much of this in stores. We're not going to be retail front. You'll either buy it direct to consumer, or you're going to see it in a bar. So we're going to try to be in the top 50 bars in Louisville. When I say top 50, I'm talking about high-end steakhouses, whiskey bars. Watch Hill Proper agreed to carry us. Malone's has agreed to carry us, and some other places. North of Bourbon, those guys are phenomenal. They've agreed to carry us. So you go in, you're going to get something that you probably can't get unless you buy it on day one through Mash Network.
Right.
So that's where that's coming from. But I would like for the two bottles, if they're on the shelves, to be together. I want the two brothers to be back-to-back.
Nice.
There you go.
Honestly, I plan on supporting this product because I really like making Prohibition era gin cocktails. Mm-hmm. So the Aviation.
Yeah.
What are some of the others? There's the purple one that's really good. For whatever reason, my brain is not working. But
Are you
shut up, Scott. I know what I just said, and I know what you're gonna fucking say. You're gonna say, "Does your brain ever work, Johnny Tsunami?" No.
I didn't say anything, man. I'm just
You're laughing and turning red. So screw you.
So you're a
good
beef
stuff.
eater person?
That was the first gin that I tried, and it floored me on it was bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But almost even going back to your comment that it has that quality of almost like how you start the absinthe process too.
Yeah.
I'm picking that up
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
And so what we did was we sourced some local honeysuckle and we put that in the gin basket. So we did all the citrus and the lime and the vanilla bean and the roots. And I mean, Alan was like, I was like, are you serious? You got all this stuff? Like
27
there's
herbs or spices,
oh,
man. It's
like, he's got bags.
KFC on steroids.
He sent me the list of stuff we had to buy. And I was like, are you serious to make a gin? So we bought it. I trust him. And we rolled with it. And I'm like bag after bag of stuff. And, you know, when he was like, we're going to put honeysuckle in the, he asked me, you want to put the honeysuckle in the mix, in the actual still, or do you want to run it through the gin basket? And you're going to have two different flavors. And I said, well, the way he described it, I was like, I'd much rather go gin basket with the honeysuckle. And so you get a little bit of that in there, which really rounds out the citrus and makes the vanilla much more palatable, because the vanilla, if you're not careful, could be overpowering. And it just works really well. So I was really proud of it.
Yeah. No, I'm not a gin drinker, and I'm a fan. I told you. I mean, I don't typically go gin, and especially with a couple of cubes.
As long as it doesn't taste like a forest, I'm really good with it.
I'm with you 100%. I don't want to be bored and drink Christmas tree water.
Yeah. If I'm not tasting Denver, Colorado, I'm okay.
Hey, Ken, so throughout the process, how many times did you get in the car?
Yeah.
You called your wife immediately. So Alan said this.
Well...
And we can get rid of this if you want.
No.
Hey, dude, there has got to be some times where the mad scientist is like, we're going to do this.
So there's okay, boy.
Yes.
All right.
I love these.
And So Alan became a really good friend of mine through this process. Like I talked to, for those who don't know, we're starting 3 companies at the same time. So a lot of my closest friends, I'd stopped talking to them. I told them, I said, look, man, I'll talk to you when these companies are done. And all my friends, thankfully, they understand. They're not, anybody's not rude about it. So, there was people I was interacting with constantly inside of working with these brands, and Alan was one of them. We just became really close. And one night we drank 2 bottles of Sazerac rye and a bottle of E.H. Taylor. So we both had a bottle and a half of whiskey, just between us. And next thing you know, we're in my neighborhood, and he's peeing in my neighbor's yard. And I was like, dude, you can't do that. There are cameras all over this damn neighborhood. And he's like, it's happening, Ken. Just don't look away. Don't look me in the eyes. And anyway, so when I got home, and Maria was like, you guys are grounded. She was not happy. But, Maria puts up with my antics. And she knows the kind of people I enjoy hanging out with. And they're all oddballs. I don't, normal people don't,
they're boring.
Well, I enjoy people with quirks. And so if it was, I'm a little bit probably out of Alan's wheelhouse too, because I wear a suit 90% of the time. And, I sell real estate for a living most of the time. And
you work out?
Yeah, I work out. He makes fun of my clothing, because he dresses like a cowboy or a farmer, and I dress like a city boy in some gym shorts and
a J-boy.
J-boy, what's that?
What, isn't it? Oh, sorry, Jeff boy. I know.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Just stop. Just stop.
He's trying to speak.
You're trying.
The language.
I just want to fit in.
You're not. Just stop.
I went to Jeff High for 1 year, and that was enough for me. Yeah.
What year?
It would have been 92.
92
to 93.
Yeah.
I was there then. I don't know how we didn't run into each other.
Yeah, so
that would have been my.
I was in by Dr. Denoto, or not Dr. Denoto, but Denoto, the architecture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was there when I was there. He retired right into like my second year, I think. But no, Alan and I constantly have conversations, and we get together. We have a great time. We drank something like $1,200 worth of whiskey at the library bar at the Omni last time we were at the last bourbon mixer. It was at the Omni.
Yeah.
And my wife, when she saw that bill, you get to her in trouble. So, so Maria puts up with us, and we have a good time, and we'll be at the bourbon mixer again. If you guys, I don't know if y'all will be there.
I actually just got an invite. I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'll be able to make it.
Oh, you should make it. Yeah. Our bottles, the first bottle of this, the first publicly available bottle, will be sold at the bourbon mixer. All proceeds go into the Coalition for the Homeless.
There you go.
We are the most expensive bottle right now on the auction. So of all the Pappies and the Blanton series and everything that they have, we have the most expensive bottle.
Wow.
I'm proud of that.
Yes.
And all the proceeds are going to go to help the homelessness cause in Kentucky. In
there you go.
Yeah.
All right. I want to be respectful of your time. We appreciate it so much.
I'm about to say, anything you want to say about anything upcoming? Where can you find this whenever it's available, or when do you expect it to be available?
Thank you. So
that's where I was going. Thanks.
I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm a big fan of veterans. I was a fireman. Police, fire, EMS. Those are my people. Veterans, teachers, nurses, public servants. They don't get enough thank you. So our first 24 hours of any new release will go exclusively to that group of people. So go to ajschreiner.com. You can click join. There's a place where you'll put in your email address, and we'll put you on the email address for that. So when we go to MASH Network, it'll probably be 200 to 300 bottles to go to MASH Network. The other 700 or so will get distributed to bars. I have no interest in playing the scoundrel games that are played by distributors to get into a local liquor store. Right. So the bars, if you want it, you can go have a sip of it for whatever they charge. I hope you love it. I think you will. And then if you do, get yourself on the email list so we can put you on a lottery for the non-police, fire, EMS, veterans, active duty military. We're going to release 4 times a year. So there's that one. This bottle's $120. The gin is $60. It's $10 below the next best premium gin that we've done market research on. So we try to make sure that that's priced appropriately. And we're going to have some other releases in the spring. Hopefully, we will be distilling our own distillate straight from the books, straight from pre-prohibition and early post-prohibition methods. So there's only one person in the country I know who can do it, and it's Alan. It won't be exactly the same. Water's a little different, yeast is a little different, but we're going to try to recreate it as exactly as we can.
That sounds like a good plan. Johnny, what do you got?
I've started doing this thing when we interview distillers, and I know it annoys Scott, which is why I love doing it too. But I like to ask the quirky question.
Yeah.
This is a scenario-based question for you.
Sure, yeah.
So we live in uncertain times, right?
Yeah.
And perchance say that the zombie apocalypse happens, and
Dig
you're
it.
defending your family,
Yeah.
and you get bit
Okay.
on the arm,
Yeah.
and you've got a couple hours left before your
Okay.
turn.
Yeah.
And you go into your stash, and you're going to pull one bottle that's going to be your final bottle.
Oh, my God.
I didn't know
I mean,
if-
you
if-
could have just said you got cancer or anything, but you went zombie apocalypse.
I think that's more fascinating.
Yeah. It's
So
a
you got
better,
2 hours,
It's a
man.
better thing.
Yeah, you got to have it available.
You'll be the drunkest zombie.
Yes.
Yeah.
You'll be shuttling and stumbling more in 2 hours from then.
As a matter of fact, they'll kill me faster because they think I'm already taken over.
Exactly.
All right, so I got to figure out one bottle. Man.
What would you drink in that moment?
Can I give you a series?
Sure. Series isn't a tasting.
Well, I mean, it's like a few bottles.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Lee Sinclair from Spirits of French Lick is up there. Maybe the Matty Gladden. Matty Gladden I like. It's just so viscous and so oily that, I guess you don't have to worry about a hangover the next morning if you're going to be a zombie. Yep.
Is the Lee Sinclair, is that the 4 grain?
That's the 4 grain, yep.
That's a phenomenal whiskey. I like the Stag Batch 12, the 132 proof.
Yep.
That was one of the best batches of Stag, I think. Stag Junior, that I think they ever did. Yeah, I know you look, yeah. I would say a good regular is the E.H. Taylor small batch. I mean, that's a really, really good, consistently good, Buffalo Trace product. And I love Buffalo Trace. It just doesn't blow my skirt up anymore because they're everywhere and everybody thinks they're the best.
They're also holding your old records.
No, well, that was
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
No. Well, they are, and they have more than just Donny Jugs. They've got some other things that our family, bequeathed to them. But because at one point the one in Bardstown was a Schenley distillery. They actually, if you go through the gift shop, there's an old Schenley night watchman outfit, and it has Schenley on the patch. So there was a time there that was Schenley. And so they gave it back at some point years ago. I'm trying to think. I will tell you the one that there's 2 really right now that I'm just absolutely dying over. The 1924 Old Forester, I think, is one of the best bottles to come out of Old Forester in years and years and years. I think it's phenomenal.
Which is odd because most people are like, oh, they're so anti because it's not really Old Forester. But go ahead.
I don't care. It's good.
No, it's early times. I love early times. I don't disagree.
That is a phenomenal bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, let's see here. Woodford Reserve had a Masters collection, the White Corn. I don't know if you guys have had the White Corn Masters collection.
Didn't get a chance to try it, but I know what you're talking about.
There was, I don't know if Malone still has one, but the Malones down here in the paddock shops had a bottle of it. And it is, to me, one of the best Masters Collection Woodfords that they've ever released.
And that's a 750, correct?
Yeah.
That's before they went to the 375?
Yeah. And it's a phenomenal bottle. And whoever made that one at Woodford did a great job. So one of the things we were talking about with our stuff is which one of these products may have been using white corn. So we're investigating white corn for our future distillates to try to marry some of that rye with a white corn. That's a great question. As a matter of fact, I really like this question. Where was the rest of the questions like this?
Do not feed him. He's like, see?
That was good.
Yeah.
I actually had to go deep on that one. I was like, man, I don't know.
I like the question. It's just he always says, "Oh, I'm just the big dummy of this whole group." And, well, he plays into the whole like, "Oh, woe is me" thing, and he's part of the crew, So, but
Actor.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but well, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate the story.
Thank you for having me. This was fun.
If you want to find Bourbon Barrel Talk, you can find us on Facebook, the Instagram, or the X. It sounds like you're going to be able to get your AJ Schreiner's right at their website, so go ahead and do that. Hit the subscribe button. That way you get our episodes as soon as they drop on Sunday mornings. This is Scott with Ken, the Brox, Brian, and Johnny Tsunami signing off. Peace.
Prost.
Peace out.